Actually, let me just intervene here for a second, and have Rob respond to some of the comments here.
Let me say, I certainly have never suggested that Poland is a bad place to invest. This is not Argentina, frankly, which to my mind is the poster country for bad faith. And the result is that foreign direct investment in Argentina has fallen by 2/3. They have the only raging inflation in the world because their economic policies have been so distorted because they can't access global capital markets. They account for 80% of the cases involving G20 countries at ICSID. This is a bad actor that's had really very destructive leadership now for a decade under the Kirchners. And I certainly was never suggesting that Poland is anything like that. What I'm saying is that Poland is underperforming its potential, that this is evident in the foreign direct investment data relative to other places that are generally comparable. And I think Poland has enormous potential to live up to its potential. And in that context, it has to be very sensitive to the complex of factors which drive multinational decisions to shift the most advanced business enterprises in the world to developing nations and emerging markets. This is the engine of modernization today. And this is it's a cautionary tale. It's not a condemnation in any conceivable sense. And that we need to engage on these issues so that everyone can be better informed about this context, and that this is a little red flag that Poland needs to pay attention to. Because, as I said, there are lots of different choices in the world today. There's a lot of talk about, India is the next China. India is nothing like China. And she's nothing like China because she cannot provide the same kind of public investments and policies that are attractive to foreign direct investors as China does. Now, there are other issues with China, certainly. But China is incredibly sensitive to these issues and is trying to address them. That's what we're suggesting for Poland,
Okay.
what I'm suggesting for Poland.
We don't have much time. I'm going to go over here, and then we'll come up here, and then we really have to end in 5 minutes. So, sir. Right. Gentlemen, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is fascinating. I enjoyed the discussion a lot.
Thank you.
My name is Naoto Kanihira. I come from the World Bank. And because Poland is one of my client countries, and it's my professional interest to help the government to promote competitiveness and growth through attracting FDI and promoting innovation. So I learned from the discussion a lot. And I also want to ask one question. Should we try to shed light on a particular aspect of FDI, which is about promoting innovation? So from our studies at the bank, we know that the Poland, as Kyo already mentioned, building on strong technological and scientific legacy, Poland also had
centuries, right?
Yeah, to become more innovative and knowledge-centric economy. Whereas in 2008, Poland spent only 0.6% of GDP for R&D, where many other regional peers spent close to 1%, and the EU-wide target is 3%, and Japan spent 4%. So, and then research and development is not only domestic endogenous activity coming from research universities, but also coming through FDI, and many international multinational companies established the research facilities in many various countries, like in India and Israel and many other places. So I just wanted to ask you, how do you see the Poland's position at the center of knowledge-intensive activities? What might be the sort of prohibiting factor to attract more R&D-oriented foreign direct investment in Poland.
And this was an issue that Rob raised early on about the importance of FDI in developing a country, and including in technology. You want to, anybody want to respond to that?
You want to take that first?
It would be more, I mean, it really is a matter of the policies of the government and the investment that they're willing to make. It's the public-private partnership that obviously, as you're referring to, is going to foster innovation and the technology, and the roots are there. It's all there to be developed. The problem is the commitment, and this is where, you know, the economic factors come in. So as long as the growth is there and if the allocations are made, the potential is there, and it may not be in traditional areas of technological innovation. Certainly, there's a lot of healthcare and pharmaceutical research that's taking place. Companies like Teva Pharmaceuticals are utilizing the kind of brilliance of the academic institutions. So I think that's where we might see that, you know, come forth.
There are probably three fundamental factors which go into the ability of an emerging economy to generate domestic innovation of any kind, of any significant kind. One, of course, is the skills of the workforce, the education, the commitment to education. One of the most innovative economies in the world, and probably the greatest single success story of the last 50 years is Korea. And Korea has maintained 10% investments in education equivalent to 10% of GDP for the last 50 years, even when she was one of the poorest nations in the world. Half of this was public investment, half of it was family investment. And the only countries that are in that class of commitment are the United States and Sweden, with Korea. But we were advanced countries, and she was one of the poorest countries in the world. The second is access to finance, a domestic venture capital finance system, which is critical. And the third is the intensity of competition within the economy. That drives, that first of all creates openings for new ventures. It drives the adoption of innovations from these small companies to larger companies, and that's where you get the economic benefit. I mean, it's, the developer of the innovation has a monopoly rent on it. The society benefits because of the broad application of the innovation, not the development of the innovation. I don't really care where innovations are developed as an American economist. I care about the capacity of the American economy to adopt the innovations developed around the world. That is much, much more powerful than the actual development for the economy. For the company, that's fine, but for the economy, that's what you want. So you want to liberalize economic arrangements, in particular reduce the barriers to the formation of new businesses. You want to provide domestic venture capital opportunities for those businesses. And you want to produce enough skilled and highly skilled people who can develop the business methods and the software or the pharmaceuticals or whatever it is. If you get those three things right, you're a very long way.